been a long time and he got something to say. Depending on how you feeling, dog, you might got something to pray. This type of influence that he ain't gotta filter through your liver. We in the studio rockin', let the heat rock. Summer.
Yo. What's up? Welcome to another episode of In the Studio with Rob. I am Rob, and I'd like to thank you for showing up and listening and just checking us out. Hey, I want to send a shout out before we get started to Ireland. Had a listener in Ireland, so I shout out to Ireland.
Here, Ireland.
Hey, and like always, I'm with my man Izzo. He's backing me up doing this thing. What's up? And so we will, and as you probably can see, or if not, you're going to hear our special guest, which is my daughter, Roshana.
Hello.
And so we're going to have a conversation today, a little conversation. We're talking about some mental health, and we're going to hit it from a little different angle, I think, than a lot of people talk about. We're going to talk about it from parent-child dynamic, that actually spills over into other people and how they look at mental health and how they feel about it, and the stigma that sometimes is put on people. So again, this is my daughter, my oldest child, my baby.
Gang.
Number one.
So, but as we get into this, we're going to talk a little bit about some challenges she's had over the years and how she's overcome them and how she's still dealing with some, at times. But again, a lot of it has to do with support that she gets from family that may have been a little, challenging itself at times. I'll say for me at least, one of the things, for me, I think one of the difficult parts for me is thinking that something is wrong with your child. And so you almost don't look at it or think about it. It's like, it's nothing wrong with you. Stop it. You just, toughen up, just change, ain't nothing wrong with you. And that's kind of the mindset I think you have as a parent sometimes, especially a father. It's like, you don't want to think your child broke. And if it is, then what did I do? How did I break her? So that's kind of the things you go through. But that wasn't helpful with her. So I'm going to let her talk a little bit about, when she thought things start, when she started having some challenges, as much as she wanted to talk about, and then I'm going to ask a few questions and see how, we'll see how this flows a little bit. So, Shauna, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then you can get into it.
Okay. So, hi, I'm Shauna. I am my dad's oldest. I am the oldest of 8 children. I am a mom to 3. I think when I first noticed that there were things wrong was after I had my second son. I had really bad postpartum, and it really took me to some dark places. But at the same time, it was like trying to hide it because, again, I felt broken and I didn't know, how you tell somebody that, I think like this, or I don't know how to. Whereas before I could process, now it's like it's 1,001 things in my head. I don't even know what to focus on. So yeah, I've had all the way from the panic attacks all the way down to just the random thoughts. I've even had the suicidal thoughts. Like it depends on the situation. It depends on how I'm able to handle what I'm going through. I don't ever like to admit this, but I'll admit it. I'm 38 years old. I've been married. I've been divorced. That was hard. And not to want to burden people with the problems that I feel like, one, I'm smart enough to deal with, but I should be able to get through as an adult. But at the same time, it's all new stuff to me too, that it's like, I got to figure it out the same way other people have to figure out how to deal with me with it. But, it just was, for me, it was just hard to communicate it, so it got worse before it got better. And a lot of that comes from, again, I'm the oldest, I'm the beginning. I should be able, I don't want to, even though I have all these people around me in my family, you don't want to burden them with, my big sister doesn't have it, or my daughter can't get it together, but she's smart and she's, athletic and she likes to do all these things. it just becomes a little bit of an issue to try to just express it after a while.
And that's interesting because I know when you talk about putting burdens on your family, for me, I never considered my kids as burdens. But at the same time, even when you guys don't have certain things together, you're not doing certain things the way, we as parents might want. I never thought of it as a burden, but it's just like, they get together, so you help them as much as you can. But the fact that you wouldn't, or especially early on, didn't feel comfortable coming and saying, Daddy, I need some help, is, and I think that goes to play into parents being not just, when your child is young, but when they become adults, is really staying in touch or being into their life, or like really checking in on them and asking them certain questions. I can recall coming to get you, because you say you need me. But at that point, I guess you understood. Oh, I know he gonna come get me. But early on, I guess it was a question, or at least in your mind, never a question in my mind, but in your mind, evidently it was.
It wasn't even that it was a question. Honestly, it was I know that I can do these things. I know that there's kind of, I don't know if this is the right word, but this is the word I got, is I know that there is an expectation of me to be great because I also know that I am. But now I'm struggling and I don't know how to find that greatness, and I don't know how to meet the expectations because my head says, yeah, I can do it because I know I can. But with every other situation going on, like I'm a young mom, I'm 20 with 2 kids. One has medical issues that I'm trying to navigate and figure out, but now I'm trying to navigate and figure out my own stuff. And I don't even know what this is just yet. I just know that I feel this way and I don't know how to control it. Like, it would be times where I would like legit just disappear, like be taking care of the kids, and then I would go to the bathroom and I would just cry, and then I would wipe my tears and come back out like nothing ever happened. But it's like, I can't show that I don't got it. I can't let them see it. I can't, we have family things going on. I'm still gonna come and be Shauna, happy, goofy, playing games, picking on siblings. But when I go back, it's like back to isolation. And it's like the older I got, honestly, the easier it got at isolating than having to fake it. So it's easier to say, yeah, I'm gonna come, or no, I can't make it, and then just be able to hide because I don't even want to wake up. I want to just lay in bed and sleep all day long. Or even worse, like, even now, it's to the point where it's like, if I'm working, I'm doing something that keeps me busy enough that I can't focus on what I'm going through or what I feel right now. Because I'm busy. I gotta focus on where I'm at and what I'm doing. And I can't focus on the stuff that wants me to not do anything.
Yeah, and so let's talk about those expectations a little bit. And I put expectations on all my kids because I'm one of those people that just believe that my kid's the best in the world. So I give expectations. I put expectations on. And I see, I saw what you could do as a little girl growing up, whether it's being A students and, and playing sports and, and everything else, cheerleading and all that good stuff. But I expected the most out of all my children. And I think sometimes, as a father, my expectations of you may have been, something that, I guess I didn't articulate it well enough to say, I expect this from you, but I'm good with whatever you give me, as long as you're giving me your best. And I think for me is that, I think, or probably most parents, we have to make sure that we do expect the greatness out of our children. Because if you see greatness, some of your kids, you might not see nothing in. So, I can't speak for the rest of y'all parents out there. Y'all might have some goods. But for me, I had some great kids. So, I expected greatness out of them. I expected them to be well, to do well. But at the same time, it's one of those things where my expectations for them has to meet their expectations of them. And it can't be where I'm expecting more of them than they are able to give or whatnot. So, or that I'm putting the pressure on them to say, oh, I didn't get an A in class, so I'm so depressed because daddy ain't gonna be happy. I ain't necessarily upset because you didn't get an A if you put all your work into it. I had this one son, he got A, and I wouldn't be happy because I know he didn't work hard. So he would just,
That's hate.
so, yeah, so I mean, so those expectations are real. I mean, so let's talk a little bit about how expectations as a child, how do you think they affected you and your mental state as you got older?
When I was a kid, it was more so I felt like I was just, whatever I did, I was good at. And I knew that about myself. So if I'm running track, I think I stopped running track because I finally hit my goal. I wanted to win first place in cross country. I did it. Now it's like, I could have kept going. I should have kept going. But for me, I know I can do it. That's just, something I can check on my bucket list that I can do if I put my all into it. When it came to school was easy. I don't remember studying. I don't remember. It just was easy to retain the information. I know that about myself. So the grades weren't like how other people have, my kid got straight A's, so we're going to Chuck E. Cheese for the week or whatever it may be. It's like, I didn't have that. It's like, I know I'm going to get good grades because I'm just good at school. I know how to retain information. I've learned how to do this part. Mm-hmm. So it was always, back then, I had if I knew I was going to do it, I'm going to do it well. Even when I did softball in junior year, I just wanted to see if I could make varsity. I didn't really care about if we won or lost. I just wanted to see if I could make varsity my first time playing softball. And I did. And then I didn't play another year because that was my goal for that thing.
So it wasn't our expectation then?
For me, well, that part wasn't. But it was like, if I'm going to do it and I'm wanting y'all to come see me and whatnot, then I'm expected to be great too. Like, I'm doing it for fun. But when I know my parents are coming to see me or like my son, I want them to see me being good. And my sister cheerleaded forever. But again, they knew I was good at it. She was long and she could do the same things that I could do. So yes, our jumps are great because we practice them. If we're going to be here and you're going to be looking at us and hearing us, we're going to be good at what we do. And it just, like for me, it's just I'm the oldest. So it's like it was like I always just felt like I had a different place to be. Like I had to be the example. Like
so where did so that's just, again, to me that's like normal being the older child, even if whether it's the first two, there's a level of this is what we do, or we're setting the example, we're setting the stage for the ones that come behind us to say, oh, they did it, you can do it too. But I'm really I'm trying to understand the mental challenging part that came with that. What was that?
It wasn't when I was a kid. It didn't produce itself then. Like it was certain times where, like if I didn't do something up to par, it was more of a me thing back then. It was becoming an adult and assuming like once you make that transition from being a kid to now, the decisions are my own. So now everything I've learned, I should have learned from. I should have gotten some from. So I shouldn't. Certain situations shouldn't be in. Certain situations I shouldn't have, like, have to deal with the way that I do, and then my reaction to them isn't what is expected of me because I know better or I was taught better. And then it's like if I'm not, it's like okay, when you have your first boyfriend or something, yes, I'm with this guy, I like him a lot and whatnot, but again, I'm not expected to stay with this one person. Even though in my heart I feel like he's the best thing since sliced pie. No, that's not my person. My parents expect more of me. They expect better for me. I'm still learning these things, but it's like, again, when you realize that you're not meeting those expectations for them, it's kind of like, well, all right, let me change something up, do something different, but it's like you're learning, but you're learning through experience. But the experience and the mistakes that are made along the way just added to the maybe I'm not as good as I thought.
So it kind of sounds like you're circling the drain on something, and I kind of want to make sure we get it out. You said that as a kid you were used to whatever you do you're good at.
Yes.
And then you also said that you felt that you noticed some mental health issues after your second born.
Yes.
So that kind of, as a young mom, that kind of lines up with just adulthood in general. So I'm sure everything wasn't in adulthood as it was in childhood. So everything you touched wasn't turned into gold.
No.
How did that? What part did that play? Because it kind of sounds like the timeline goes hand in hand.
Because again, you expect that you learn. Your parents want you to learn from the lessons that they're teaching you. Maybe it's not a fault. It's a fault of my own that I'm somebody who learns from mistakes, but I let my mistakes like take me down rabbit holes before I'm able to dig myself out.
Right. So tell us how. How do you get to the point where, I tried this, it didn't work out, I wasn't great at this, I didn't do this right the way I'm accustomed to doing? What goes through your mind right after that? How do you deal with that? Knowing, like, for someone that is used to being great, now I kind of feel like that wasn't great of me. That's not the standard that I'm used to being at.
Right. So it's kind of, if I'm catching what you're going for, it's kind of like if I know that I'm supposed to be here and I'm not hitting that mark, I'm trying to fix it, but it's not taking me closer to meeting my mark. It's taking me farther away because again, it's still not a good situation. It's not a great place to be. Instead of going backwards and starting over, I'm literally just falling deeper down. For me, that deeper down is just, I'm not doing it, and I'm not a good mom. I don't know how to do these things because I've never been here before. So it's like, no matter what I think, no matter what I learn, no matter what I read, no matter how good I am at learning, I'm not learning how to not hurt.
So it sounds like we're getting into, like, because you didn't make the changes or you didn't fix or get better at it, you weren't great at it, it became depression. You got into a depressive mode.
Yeah, because again, it's showing, it made me feel like I'm not who I thought I was. And I'm putting on all these extra hats on top of everything that it's taking me a lot longer to take them off to figure out who I am all over again, because along the way I lost myself trying to fix things that weren't even supposed to be part of the makeup of who I am. And now I don't want to face the mistakes that I've made because they made my life so much harder. Not saying that, the kids were the hard, that was the easy part. They were great kids. They are great kids. But I don't feel like, for the same way, I felt like I was expected to be a certain kind of person and a certain kind of kid, and I'm not giving them the certain kind of mom that they deserve.
So on top of all the complicated negative emotion, it becomes an identity crisis.
Yeah, and honestly, in college, that's when I realized, and my best friend had to point it out to me years later. In college, it was like I had a moment, and I'm still trying to navigate postpartum and deal with that. And I guess at some point it was like I kind of created, like, I took my personality, and it's like I'm mom all the time, but I don't ever get to be just Shauna. I'm this person's wife all the time, but nobody knows my name is Shauna, and I just want to be Shauna again. So I guess at that point it's like me and my friends, when we go out, my name is Rachel. Or if I was single and I'm trying to like flirt, then it's Sean, because I'm Sag, we're hunters, I'm on the hunt. Like, I developed different names and identities for these people, but it was all Shauna. We just broke it up. So at some point she pointed out, she said, you made all of them up because you wanted to feel like you, so you were able to separate Shauna from the girly girl, or the girl who was really flirty, or the person who was really angry. Like, you literally put them in compartments. And I said, you're right, I did. And to this day, like, if I mention Sean and Sabrina and whatever other names I get for these things, like, people laugh and think I'm just playing, but it's like, honestly, they're still kind of broken up in my head. Like, Shauna does her job, she's a mom, she holds it down for us, like, she takes care of things. So Rachel gets to be fun. Sean, she can be fun, but she, she's a little bit more confident than everything else that I have. But, it was that point where I really was like, I got to figure out who I am and what what I'm supposed to be doing, how I'm supposed to be handling everything that's going on, and just being better at being me.
Okay. So, and again, not to get into some of the things to help you get to a better state, you know, and again, I know it's a constant challenge, but I remember sitting on the chair and you was kind of depressed for a few days or whatever, and finally you came by and I was like, come here. And so you sat down and you were saying some of the things you were going through or whatever, or how you was feeling rather. And this particular time, I gave you a hug. I didn't say nothing, I just hugged you. And I think you were looking for a different response, because other times I would always try to fix you, so to speak, or tell you, come on girl, no, it ain't that bad, or it ain't this. This time it was, okay, let me just give you a hug. Explain the difference, or how that made you feel, because I wasn't expecting you to cry when when I hugged you, but I was, it was just like, but explain how that made you feel and how that was different for you.
Because it wasn't somebody telling me what's wrong with me. I know what's wrong with me. I know, I should go to therapy. I know, I should, figure out how to change different things. Like, I'm not slow. I got it. I know.
That's my bad.
But it's not like, I'm not intelligent enough to know what I need to do. It's about being in a place where I feel confident enough to do what I have to do. Mm-hmm. And it was in, like, it happens a lot of times. Like, I'm strong for too long. And I
So then what did the hug do for you?
It just let me be me. I didn't have to hold myself together anymore because somebody else was there with me in that moment. And it just makes you feel like you're not by yourself. And for once, you can be a little bit vulnerable and it not be, a bad thing.
Okay.
I'm not good at being completely vulnerable. Like, I'm an honest person. I can tell you anything about me. I don't hold like too many secrets. But at the same time, when I have to be like explain how I feel and the emotions that I'm dealing with, because so many of them are happening at one time, like, I'm always angry. I'm always overthinking. I'm always, got all these things going on. But again, I gotta keep a smile on my face. Because
I will tell you, the overthinking thing is a family trait. I remember I was about 18 and I came to visit my dad, and I don't know what was going on, but anyway, I was just thinking. He was like, you think too much, and he made it seem like it was such a bad thing. And for a long time I used to think that was a bad thing. I'm like, and then as I got a little older, I was like, man, you should be thinking alike. So it was kind of, but I think sometimes, or a lot of times, people equate thinking too much, so to speak, thinking as you thinking negatively all the time. What I do is I just process a lot of things, and so I got to think about what's going on. So mine ain't I ain't depressed. I don't get depressed. I haven't been depressed. I can never say a time where I was depressed. I would say times when I was sad, especially when my mom passed away, and it hurts me to this day. But I've never been, depressed, because I'm able to move to the next moment. I don't stay in the moment too long. Things will upset me or whatever, but I'm able to move from it. And I know that's not always, and I think for me, I wanted it to be the same for you as well as everybody, all the rest of my kids. Like, don't let it affect you, or just move on. And I know, as I've learned over the years, that no, you can't move like I can move. Some things you have to, your process may take longer. But one thing I've learned, and I think you may have learned this too, I told you, you had a cousin that was going through some mental challenges, and I said, won't you, and this was when you was actually going through some stuff, I said, won't you call her, she need to talk to somebody. And you called, and y'all talked for a while, and then you came back, I think, a couple days later, and you was telling me about it. I was like, you don't seem too depressed right now. And you kind of start laughing, because what happens is when we help other people, we kind of get out of our own way, and sometimes you realize the stuff you're dealing with ain't as bad, when you hear some drama some other people going through too.
Very true.
But you did a great job helping her, and it helped you get out of your own way.
It does. It kind of makes you feel better that you're able to make sure that somebody else doesn't feel like you feel, and they don't experience the things that you hide. You know, you may experience it, but let me help you. Then I know. Okay, so it's really kind of, it's not complicated, but it sounds it. So I know what will work to help me, but I can't help me when I'm in those moments. But I can help you before you get to that moment and you don't know how to help yourself. So I can give you the tools that you need to better make it easier to get through it. Whereas I've been in mine for months, so I'm already I'm rocking with it at this point.
But
you don't have to get there.
But as Rob, pause for effect, Rob, as Rob just said, you came out of that conversation with a brighter light. So that kind of sounds like, to go to your point of you saying you would isolate rather than articulate your feelings and everything, maybe you helping them process was allowing you to be able to talk and process through some things on your own as well. So it was healing for both.
It is.
Because you're talking about a situation that you're familiar with.
Yeah, and I think, because even still, like, I work in the field of mental health and disabilities, and like a lot of times it'll seem like people see them and they're bigger than me and they're stronger than me, and they could probably toss me if they really wanted to. But I don't have to deal with those kinds of behaviors all the time because I know how to talk to my clients, because I know how to de-escalate, because I'm dealing with my own mental stuff that I can kind of like catch you before. Like, I watch your triggers, I watch, you know, what things affect you, so I can talk to you through it, and we can try to talk about something else, get your mind off yours, so that we can avoid you trying to punch me in my head or something like that. And everybody asks like, oh, well, why do you stick with it? Like, I've literally been doing it since I was 22. And I always end up going back to it because, again, I understand it. I know what it feels like to not be understood. I know what it feels like to not feel like you can tell it or express it, or it's never going to click with somebody. But at the same time, I used to say, like, for everybody else, it was the funny explanation, like, crazy understands crazy. We just get each other. But at the same time, it's just, I see them.
Yeah.
Like, theirs is just more extreme than mine because they go to different levels. But at one point, mine were extreme. It wasn't me trying to hurt other people. It was just me trying to hurt myself.
Right.
So even then, it's like I had to learn different ways of not trying to let those thoughts run wild. And those usually were the times where I isolated the most because, again, if I had the thought in my mind, I needed to talk myself out of it and not other people trying to talk me out of it. Because I felt like before people would understand, like, she feels like this so much and she's hurting this bad, like, oh, it's in her head, she's just doing so much, it's attention. No, I literally feel like I'm not doing a good enough job as a human being, and I just want to be great. And if I'm not going to be great, then what am I doing?
Right.
And it just became easier to isolate until I was able to say, like, all right, let me get up and shake it off and, you know, get back to being who I am.
And so what I would say is, and this is for you and for any of my other children that may be listening or may listen at some point, that you are great at being my child. So I know that may not answer all the questions for you, or it might not fill all the boxes, but whenever you feel like I'm not enough or I'm not great at something, you can always say, this is the one thing you can always say, Sean. I'm the best first daughter he ever had.
I'm the best child.
So,
hands down.
You know,
Hands down.
but I'm saying, but you know,
Put your hands down.
but you know for a fact that he will agree that you're the best first daughter he ever had. He ain't gonna doubt that one. So I think one of the things that, you know, and this is how I process things sometimes, even when issues or things that I don't like or things that hurt me, is that I always find something to be cheerful or something that I can feel good about. And sometimes what I feel good about is being a father. You know, it may be just something, only thing I can hold on to is that I love my kids. And so that may be enough for me. Now, for you and, you know, other people that's having mental challenges, you may need other things, and that's understandable. But I think one of the things that people have to realize is that, you know, the more you help people, the better you will feel about yourself. And I think that's a fact. The Bible even talks about, so depression was always real. And, a lot of people always talk, hey, you ain't got this or you ain't got, but there were people in the Bible that were depressed. There were people that had anxiety, so they dealt with things, and they were people that God was using. So if those great men and women in the Bible that God used were depressed, had anxiety, and had different issues, why wouldn't we have some of those issues? So we all have those issues, but it's how long and how do we get out of it? Some people need medication. That's fine. And if that's what you need, then, your doctor's prescribe it, and that's fine. You have to do that. And then other people need some time where they can, spend some time with God to get better at, and to kind of strengthen themselves up to keep going for another moment. But one thing I've learned over the years is that no matter what I'm going through, if I'm helping other people, I feel so much. I don't have time to worry about the things that I thought were so big when I'm helping somebody else. So I think if we spend more time, trying to help other people, it's going to help us ultimately to move forward in life. So, but like I said, this was one of those conversations that I wanted to have, but I didn't really want to have because, again, no one wants to really talk about mental health, and especially when we talk about how we, as parents, have our children don't feel like we have them. We got their back at any age. So
that is a perfect segue, big guy, because the people have questions.
And then for those who we had the people, and the people always got questions, and everybody knows I'm a man of the people. So when the people got questions, I answer the people's question.
And this is a special line of question, Anthony. So we don't have to be super long-winded. I know we're pressed for time, but I do have a series. I'm sorry, the people have a series of questions. These questions come from Grizzle. Grizzle. Yeah,
hey, what's up, Grizzle?
Yeah. So, all right. So I'll try to make this as chronological as possible. Shauna, again, you said around the birth of your second child, you started to realize something was wrong.
Okay.
Now, Grizzle says, in as little of a playful tone as possible, that he may have, I guess in retrospect, seen signs prior to that things were maybe different. Now,
Grizzle still don't lie because I wouldn't even elaborate on these other times.
no, not necessary. Just situations.
All right. Okay.
Now, Rob, did you, I guess, kind of have that same timeline that she had as far as around her second child that you felt like something maybe going on?
No, I never thought anything was wrong with my baby.
You did?
So mine, so I think sometimes, and again, I know I don't like to go at the people too much, but I think Grizzle, has some issues that, that sometimes that he probably passing forward onto my child right now. So I'm gonna ignore Grizzle right now. We're gonna,
Sucks being second.
No, these questions come from you. You said earlier in the beginning of the pod, you said you mentioned that you were struggling with feelings of your child being broken, or
yeah, but this was much later than that.
Right, so that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, that was much later.
Okay, so adulthood.
Yeah, because again, yeah, it's definitely in her adulthood.
Okay.
I never thought anything was wrong with her as a child, other than she was mean as a teenager sometimes.
Okay.
That's
female hormones.
Yeah, that's female.
I just wanted to see where we drew the line between teenage and
No.
All right, now on a more serious note,
He tried it.
there was a stigma surrounding. Mental health isn't looked at what it is now, the way it was even 20 years ago. So
10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
So. And especially amongst the black community, it wouldn't be mental health. It'd be she crazy.
Yeah.
He crazy. Something wrong with him. So that obviously I know. I said that. I'm sorry, Rob. Obviously I know that the background you come from. So when and how did you shift your mindset from crazy or something's wrong with her, she's broken, to she has some mental health issues that she's dealing with?
I never thought any of that about her though.
Okay.
The problem was I couldn't wrap my head around anything being wrong with her. other than she need to stop overdoing it. It's like, it was almost, in my mind, it's like, if you stop feeling depressed, you will not be depressed. So I couldn't wrap my head around it at all. So there was no, for me, it wasn't even a stigma of, oh, my daughter broken, because I refused to allow myself to even think she had a problem, which was a problem. And I think if I would have thought about it early, that, oh, something wrong here, then maybe I would have got her help earlier. And like I said, some things that, where you get help, and, I show up, every night, to make sure people know that her daddy gonna come and check on her. So, because she was going through a rough patch. But if I would have been more open to, or more aware, and not into my own ego of, ain't nothing wrong with my kid's perfect, then I could have got her help sooner. So it wasn't about, me ever thinking, like putting a stigma on her. I'm like, ain't nothing wrong with her.
And truth be told, I don't know, it's something about there's something wrong with her. It's not really nothing wrong. It's more of she processes things differently. She feels things differently. Sometimes she does need her space. Sometimes she doesn't need her space because she is, being around people makes her feel better. It doesn't give her that space to just lay in it. It makes her have to come out of it. So it's because again, I'm still Shauna. It's just in the midst of it, I wrap myself in this nice little cozy blanket and I disappear, and then, I come out when I feel like I have to. I have to go to work. I have to take care of the kids. I have to, show up to certain things. But at the same time, when I know I don't, and I'm not. Because again, I don't want y'all to see me where, a hug might make me cry. And then I have to tell you what's wrong. Because how many times my dad gonna say, what's wrong with you, before I'm gonna tell him the truth?
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm telling my dad after a while.
I think we can conclude the questions. I just want to point out before you wrap this up that your daughter told you she used to use fake names to talk to dudes. That information how you must.
Stranger danger.
I want to make sure we don't skate past that.
Stranger danger.
Yeah. But yeah, I think this conversation was good. It was, again, and like with most of the stuff we do in the studio, we try to laugh a little bit with it, but we do understand it's a serious issue, and that people are struggling. But I will tell you, if you're struggling, seek help. Try to get some help. Allow people to be there for you. Don't try to do it all yourself. None of us, we weren't built to be alone. We were built to be in communities and have people there to support us. So, allow people to do it. Don't move back in with your parents all the time. But at the same time, you can, always get the help you need. But, but I understand, that's
your
just.
husband in to take care of Call your husband in. His last one.
Somebody come marry my sister Stacy.
But no, what I mean, but if you are out there right now and you hear this podcast and you say, oh, they doing this, but know that if you need help, go talk to somebody. Go get the help you need so that you don't find yourself in a situation that you can't get out of, or that you cause yourself harm and danger. So I do want to make sure that's clear, and that's not a joking thing. So make sure you get the help that you need.
And we should also add a disclaimer of us being a family that may not be similar to your family.
Right.
If you have anybody in your family that's dealing with mental health issues, you may not be able to talk to them the same way that we can talk to, who we talk to, because that's a lot of behind the scenes work and talking and sensitivities and knowledge that have grown.
So families are different. So again, but get some help. You still need some help if you need help. So don't be afraid to get the help. So as we wrap this up, I want to thank Shauna for coming on here and talking and being open and sharing a little bit. So millions of people are going to hear about this and see you. But hopefully they learn something about different dynamics, and again, that no matter what you're going through, you can get through it. but also I want people to know to help each other. Try to help somebody. Get some help, but help other people, and then see how your life turns around. So with that, we're going to wrap this episode up. I'd like to thank you again for tuning in. I thank Izul for being there, and the people, Rizzo, you did your thing with your question. I appreciate you, man. But next time, I had to check you while talking about my daughter.
Or see me, bro.
But we appreciate you guys listening and tuning in. And again, don't forget to like
and subscribe.
There it is. And check us out next time. And we'll keep doing this as long as you guys keep listening, or at least as long as we keep doing it. And right now, it's fun. So I like to do it even if you ain't listening. So so anyway, we'll keep it going.
And if you can see Shauna, sorry.
Yeah.
So
So again, we out of here, and we'll talk to you soon. Like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks. Bye.